It's finally happening. The trial everyone in the country has been waiting for. United States versus Diddy. You know, the funny thing is it actually has that vibe of a heavyweight title fight. Although Diddy has his legal dream team, which coincidentally I'm not a part of because I was not available. Well, that and they didn't ask me. But anyway, although he has his legal dream team and enough money for all the experts that money can buy, he still is going to have an uphill battle in this case. I mean, it really will be trial by fire. Now, if I was on Diddy's legal defense team, how would I defend him? What strategy would I use? Well, get comfortable, join me on a legal deep dive, defending Diddy, trial by fire, and watch me lay out my defense for Diddy's trial strategy. Now, let's talk about the next category of the crime. Sex workers, you know, the allegation that he is paying for sex. Now, the sex workers is going to be more challenging, okay? Because the sex workers are not claiming to be victims, okay? They're claiming, hey, they did this voluntarily. They did this consensually. This is what they do. They did it to get paid. They did it completely of their own free will, okay? That's a little more problematic when you're trying to attack them, because they're not accusing him of breaking the law. They're not accusing him of breaking, committing a crime or forcing him to have sex because they didn't want to. They're like, yeah, we're getting paid. We got the call. Hey, we know what Diddy likes. We know about his parties. Hey, we went voluntarily. That's a little more problematic. But problematic does not mean unbeatable or unsurmountable, or insurmountable rather. The first strategy I would have with the sex worker witness is to try to create the distance between the sex worker and Diddy. And when I say that, I'm reasonably certain that I could get the majority, if not all of those sex workers to say that they did not have any direct transactional dealings with Diddy, which means that none of them talked to Diddy personally and had Diddy tell them, come to my party and have sex and I will pay you to have sex. I'm reasonably certain that none of them will say that. I cannot imagine that he did that. What's more likely is they would say the arrangements they made were with some person who says he represented Diddy or he was doing this for Diddy, and that's the person, that employee, that middleman. As you can imagine, when you're successful and rich, you have an entourage. They just do, like, what's the phrase? I got people for that. Okay. Diddy doesn't make his own hotel reservations. Okay. He doesn't cut his yard. Okay. He doesn't clean his own house. He doesn't write his own checks for paying bills. He has people for all that. Okay. He doesn't make security arrangements for his travel arrangements and all that stuff. He has people for all that. And I can guarantee you that a lot of the people that work for him, he doesn't even know. I mean, his operation, the scale of his operation is so big. When you have multiple, properties all over the country, Diddy's not right. He's not sitting down every month writing a check for the mortgage for the LA mansion and writing a check for the mortgage for the New York penthouse. He's not doing that. He's got people for all that. Okay. If he wants to get a new landscaper or get a new housekeeper, he doesn't get on Craigslist to find somebody and say, hey, I'm interviewing, I need somebody to, maintain the lawn on my 10-acre LA, mansion. He doesn't do that. He has people for all that. Okay. So again, to make that separation, to create that transactional distance between the sex worker and Diddy, I will demonstrate that they might have gotten paid to have sex. And they might have gotten paid to be there and do all that kind of stuff. However, they never actually had any direct communication where Diddy himself said, I'm paying you to have sex with me. That's somebody, that claimed to make that arrangement. Okay. So now you have that separation and you don't have any evidence of direct knowledge by Diddy of that arrangement. Is it likely that, and again, I mean, I'm not trying to make judgments or endorse or make judgments against certain conduct. But as you can imagine, certain celebrities, some the bad boys, rock stars, musicians, athletes. They're making a ton of money. They like to have a crowd. They like to have an entourage. They'll have somebody and say, hey man, let's have a party. Get some girls. Okay? And they don't tell them where to get the girls from. They don't ask where the girls come from. You got somebody in the entourage that says, I got you, Diddy. I got you, whoever. I'll take care of it. And all you know is, hey, when it's time, for the pool party, you're sitting around the pool and a bunch of people show up. Men, women, girls, ladies, you name it. And someone took care of that for you. You didn't make the travel arrangements to get everybody there. You didn't book the flights. You didn't, arrange for the rental cars. You didn't discuss money. You just said, hey, get everybody here for a party. And people took care of it. Okay? So that's how you separate his conduct from the illegality of the transaction, because you demonstrate that he himself, there's no evidence that he himself paid anybody directly, or he himself, solicited anybody directly to have sex with him for money. And what you also want to draw a distinction from is people that had sex for money, or people that just showed up for the freaky sex parties because that's what they wanted to do. And one of the side benefits is, hey, they know at the end of the night or the next day, everybody sleeps over and Diddy takes everybody shopping and says, hey, had a great time, everybody. Hey, here's some cash. Go buy something. Hey, I'm buying everybody dinner. And he does that kind of stuff after the parties. So that's not really paying for sex. Okay. I mean, and some people, again, they like the benefit of being in that circle. And there are some people out there, again, I'm not judging anybody or endorsing any particular lifestyle, but there are some people out there, men and women, that if they hear that Diddy's having a freaky sex party, they'll just go. Because, hey, they want to, number one, they want to do the baby oil freaky sex party. And hey, there's a real good chance that the next day, Diddy's going to take everybody shopping on Rodeo Drive. Or he's going to let one of his bodyguards, one of his employees, take everybody shopping. Because that's just kind of part of what he does. Show a little appreciation for his friends. Okay? Again, but that's not paying for sex. That's two different things. What that is are people understanding the financial and economic and lifestyle benefit of being a part of his orbit. And that's just how a lot of entourages work. They get paid just by being around. So again, we make it clear with each sex worker that none of them had any direct conversation with Diddy where either A, he asked them to have sex for money, or B, he paid them directly as a result of or for the benefit of having sex. Now, another category of witnesses the prosecution is going to have are his employees. Okay? Some employees will be background witnesses that don't have any direct knowledge of anything he did illegal. Sometimes they just kind of set the backdrop or the landscape of what was taking place or how things are done. And what you want to do when you have the opportunity in a criminal trial is you want to take every opportunity to turn a prosecution witness into a defense witness. Okay? So for example, if they put up a prosecution witness that was an employee or entourage member of Diddy, I would ask them questions, hey, was he polite to you? Was he pleasant to you? Did he pay you well? Did he treat you with respect? You'll find they'll say, yeah, he was nice to me. He treated me well. Yeah, he loaned me money or gave it to me. He said it wasn't a loan. My family was in trouble. My mom needed, some medical treatment. I almost lost my house. Yeah, Diddy gave me the money. So you're showing the jury that he's actually a very, pleasant individual. He's somebody that takes care of his people. He's nice. He's not being rude. He's not arrogant. He's not stingy. He tries to help out the people in a circle, and that makes him look good. And what you also want to do is look for ways to have the prosecution witnesses bolster your theory of defense. So for a lot of these employees, I would ask them to confirm and concede that, hey, would you agree that Diddy attracts opportunists? Would you agree that by virtue of being Diddy, there are always people that are trying to be a part of his circle, and he's attracting con artists, and he's always attracting people that are trying to somehow benefit from being related or associated to him? And they're going to say, yeah, which is true, because that does happen. And I'm willing to bet that they would also concede that there are people that claim to be associated with him, but are not associated with him because they can derive some benefit from it. They'll say they're part of Diddy's entourage to get better reservations at a restaurant, or to try to, further their own interests or some other project they have going on, they have going on by saying, yeah, I'm part of Diddy's security team. I'm really good friends with Diddy, and they'll try to get that rub by using his name, although they have no association with him whatsoever. I'm certain they will concede that happens all the time. And with these employees, I would also get them to admit and concede that due to the scale of Diddy's operations, his assets, his investments, his business, that he had to have a lot of people doing things for him and work for him on a regular basis. And those people had to make decisions all the time for things that affected him, his life, his business, his properties, his schedule, and that there's a really good chance that he probably doesn't even know all those people. But these people that he barely knows, if he knows at all, are making decisions for him on a daily basis. And he's relying on these people. And, and I think or most people can understand how, when you have 40 or 50 or 60 people working for you and handling things for you on a daily basis, you're not watching everybody all the time. You're not listening to every conversation they have. You can't do that. You just don't have the time to do that. That's what you have them for. You kind of have to trust they're doing what you hired them to do. And you really are probably having somebody else manage them and look over them, and you trust that person is managing them properly. So, these people who are out there are oftentimes making decisions, indicating that they are authorized to make decisions on your behalf, even when they're not necessarily authorized to do so. And even when it's not always with your knowledge or consent. But that's part of the defense, because what we can do is we can demonstrate that decisions are being made all the time, supposedly at the direction of Diddy, that Diddy has no knowledge about on a regular basis. And there's no way for him to know about it, because he's not in Los Angeles every day. He's not making travel arrangements. He's not the person inviting everybody to all of his parties. He's not the one who's ordering the catering. He's not the one ordering the champagne. He didn't do any of that kind of stuff. He's got people for all of that. And these people are out there all the time making decisions based on his supposed authority. So what we're doing is we're laying the groundwork to suggest that a jury cannot necessarily believe or be convinced, or the evidence does not prove that if there were arrangements for people, sex workers, to have sex for money, you can't be positive, or you don't have strong proof that Diddy is the one that made those arrangements. Because if somebody else in his entourage made those arrangements without his express authority, his express consent, then that's not a crime. If he directs somebody to, if he tells somebody, you go pay these women, you find them to have sex for money, you fly them into my private jet, and I'm going to pay them X amount of money. If he does that, yes, he is guilty of sex trafficking. But if he just says, hey man, I finally got a couple of weeks off, I want to, get everybody together, have some pool parties, have some sex parties, go to the club, go to the restaurant, hop on the jet, let's go to Palm Beach, go to Miami afterwards, make it happen. And that employee goes and starts hiring sex workers and paying people and making those arrangements without his express knowledge or consent, he committed no crime. So what I want to do is demonstrate that prosecutors do not have strong evidence that Diddy was responsible for making those arrangements with the sex workers. What's good, people? Suits, Law and Order, LA Law, Matlock, Perry Mason. I think it'd be fun to do a podcast talking about our favorite all-time lawyer TV shows. What we like, what we don't like, what's realistic, what's not realistic, and really just go down the rabbit hole. I'll even share which lawyer TV show made the difference in me wanting to be a lawyer. Do me a favor, post your comments and tell me your favorite lawyer TV shows so we can talk about them too. That's it.